Welcome to Discourse, a podcast about music as a medium for conversation. Today's guest is Adria Stembridge, the lead singer for Tears for the Dying of Athens, Georgia. She has been playing in punk, goth, and death rock bands since 1994 when she co-formed The Endless, which is one of the earliest goth bands in Athens, which has a rich musical history. So you've been entrenched in that kind of world for a long time, and you've said that music has really been a source of self-discovery for you. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Sure. Going back to the early 90s, I first started playing in bands. I didn't know how to play an instrument and met some friends made some friends in downtown Athens who used to hang out in the College Square right in the very downtown area. And we all kicked around the idea of doing a band. So we started a band together, and it was a punk rock band. None of us really knew how to play our instruments. However, this was 1981, so we were about 10 years behind the curve. But to us, like, we were all young, and like punk was fresh and new to us. Whereas, like, the original wave of punk rockers had already kind of experienced it and had already moved on past it. So there was this kind of like energy there, which was kind of fun. As I began playing shows in that first punk band, I knew that I was gendered differently as a kid. I just never had words to express it. And of course, I grew up in a very religious household where that was forbidden. So as I started playing shows, I started experimenting a little bit. One of our first punk shows I played, I got a bunch of black eye makeup and kind of made myself up a little bit like kind of a dead person. And this is before I really knew what goth was. And I kind of started doing that with shows. I would just experiment a little bit. I'd wear a skirt one time or whatever. So music became an avenue for me to express gender where I might not have felt comfortable doing otherwise. And as I, went into different bands, The Endless, you mentioned a second ago, and I played another band, The Girl Pool, which is a pop band in Athens back in the 90s. And then I began to kind of grow and learn more about my gender. In the mid 90s, in my diaries, I self-identified as androgynous and asexual. I just didn't have the words like non-binary back then that we have today. I would have used those, but as I grew and learned more about myself, my journey eventually took me on to realize that I was trans and so on. So,
Yeah, that's great to have that space. Like, I feel like music especially, there's so much creativity, and I think the goth scene, I think what I love so much about that is it's very open and accepting of everything, which I think
it really is.
It's such a great space. Yeah, well, so our theme this week is Femme Ain't Frail. I feel like it's more about like female empowerment, like kind of celebrating the strength. At least that's kind of how I see it. So I'm really excited. Everybody ready? Get into the music? All right, here we go. Music starts in 3, 2, 1. So this is Dead Girl Dancing by Tears for the Dying. We get to delve into your music. It was released in the Shadow of the Midnight Sun on Flowers of Doom Productions in 2024. So Adria, tell us about this.
So the song is a song about the whole album is a kind of a concept record about someone who's going through mental health struggles, and this was written over the period of COVID, in which a lot of us struggled in various capacities, some health, some mental health. The song is about overcoming anxiety and depression with like dance and exercise and just like going for walks, like anything you can do to kind of keep your mind off of like the stuff in your head that's keeping you down, to start building some new habits, some healthy habits to kind of combat the depression, I think is a great thing. That's kind of where the energy of the song came from.
Nice. So as far as this song in particular, or the album as a whole goes, like, do you connect with it with like femininity, or is it more like just general, like anyone can kind of?
Right. I feel it's an album that's approachable by everybody. Like, there's something there for everyone, and I feel that like it's a broader mental health. It's a journey of mental health, and I feel that like definitely like women and femme identifying people have had a much harder time over COVID because just we're not as able to speak up and get help and so on. I feel, but like it's a more general album. I think everybody can find something in.
Nice. Do you want to talk about like, are there any personal struggles with mental health that you want to talk about, or?
I mean, sure. Like, yeah, I went through a pretty bad breakup with someone I dated off and on for a few years back in early 2021, and that was the start of a really tough year. A few months after that breakup, I moved away from that city to get away from that person, and I developed, unrelated to everything else, I developed a blood clot in my leg. And
Oh, wow.
they had to put me on anticoagulants and so on. So I was not able to like do all the normal things I would do, like riding my bike, roller skating. I used to roller skate, play roller derby. And like I could not do any of these things because if I fell and hit my head, I could bleed out.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, the blood clot took me away from a lot of the coping strategies that I ordinarily had. And then combined with this, the breakup, and then also the trauma of just being in COVID and that space which we were all in, I lost. I mean, I literally went insane. It was really bad. And the next year, I got a new lineup of the band together. Of one of my favorite Athens bands, which we may look at here in a little bit, invited me to play a show with them in Atlanta, to a sold-out show, auditorium in Atlanta back in 2022. And like I feel like things are starting to change and get better.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
But yeah, I'm like much better today than I was in 21 for sure.
I'm glad. I'm very glad that you made it through that. That's, I mean, of course, that's a big struggle. So next song, this is Phenomenal by Janelle Monáe featuring Doechi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. It's from The Age of Pleasure by Wonderland Productions, released on Atlantic Recording Corps 2023. This is Raja's song. Raja, can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I think the song really just celebrates appreciating all the different versions of you. And I think it really starts from within to how you feel on the inside, definitely reflects on the outside. And how you feel, I think, is most important.
And I love Janelle Monáe. I feel like just about every song she releases is just like a hype song.
Yeah, I love this song too.
I feel like it's a song of confidence, and it's like celebrating self-confidence, and I vibe on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Phenomenal. And it's really catchy too. Like you can really just kind of like, you don't even need to know the lyrics because it's the first time hearing it, but it's very catchy.
And that's what I think about when listening to this song, like when you're in the mirror, getting dressed, and just having the energy of like, I'm gonna have a good day, I feel good, I just look good, and I'm gonna let everybody enjoy how good I look. So it's like the energy you can take anywhere in a business meeting, just going out with your friends, anywhere you can take that energy with you. Similar to what people say, the best accessory is a smile. I think your attitude about yourself is one of your best accessories. And so I like how that ties into just like your mental health. Having good mental health can help you definitely feel better about yourself, and then hopefully have a better time and day out in the world, being your lovely self.
It's also really playful. I like.
It is.
And it's got that great like jazz sort of riff in the background as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it's got like a great combination of different genres there.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of like the attitude behind "Say It to My Face." Like, yeah, tell me how you feel. I can take it.
All right, we're on to the next track is Biscochita by Rosalia. It was on the album Moto Mami on Columbia Records, released in 2022. Carla, tell us about this one.
Yeah. So Bizcochito is a track on Motomami, and this was Rosalia's album that came out right after she had her huge like worldwide hit, which was El Mar Querer. And this song actually pays homage to 2004 reggaeton by Daddy Yankee and Wisin y Yandel, in which in the song they ask, like, who are you? And the girl says, tu bizcochito. And like a bizcochito is like a little cake, right? Like, I'm your little cake. So Rosalia sort of responds to criticism she was receiving throughout her like artistic life in this song. So she's saying, like, I'm not your baby cakes, and if you're envious of my success, then like it's your problem. And I also really like the song because it has elements of like, I think it's called chiptune. So she has chiptune, she has dembow, she has like all these influences, and she became popular for popularizing flamenco in her previous albums, right? So she's a very, very talented like flamenco singer as well. So this was a kind of like a deviation to doing something different. And yeah, I really, really love this song in general, and it feels playful and childish, but also just like it's very empowering as well in the lyrics. Yeah. And it's short.
So this next song is mine. It's called Eat Shit by Dollskin. It was released as a single on Hopeless Records in 2021. Yeah, so I found Dollskin from going to a concert. They played with, it was a great lineup. It was Anti-Flag plus Bad Cop, and Dollskin, and it was such a great concert. It was in a smaller venue, and I was really impressed with all of the bands. But I really like the energy of this song. I mean, it's kind of your typical like female frustration becomes like, in your face, like, why can't I think of the word? It's like, well, it's just like aggression, really. But it's that kind of reactive emotion that just really resonates with me in a lot of ways as a woman who's dealt with a lot of annoying men in my life.
I feel it's really important for women and femme identifying people to express that side, because I feel that's an area that we're like socialized not to.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, we're kind of told to be the nice girl and like control our emotions and all of that. But like channeling that rage can be so therapeutic.
Definitely. It reminds me a little bit of Paramore as well.
Yep.
This tune,
I was
yeah,
thinking the
it
same.
brings me back to like being a rocker teenager, and listening to, Misery Business.
Yes. Yeah, like in the lyrics it says, quit acting tough, I've had enough. It's just that I've reached my
Yeah.
limit.
And it's interesting because I feel like again, like Adria was saying, like femmes and women, like when we do express our rage, when we do express our emotions, it's often coined as like, oh, you're being dramatic or you're being
Mm,
aggressive, whereas it's sort of terrible that like we have to reach those points oftentimes to be heard, to be sort of to actually make an impact, rather than people taking us seriously or understanding when we're not at those break
It's kind of
points.
dehumanizing in a sense that like we're taught not to express something that's just a human emotion. Like, it's just dehumanizing as fuck. And I think we need to normalize like expressing ourselves. And if that's like expressing anger towards something or somebody, like go for it.
yeah.
It's a healthy way. Like not getting that out, bottling it up is like it's a cancer in our soul. So I think it's healthy to get that shit out.
Absolutely. Well, that is round one. It is time for a message from our sponsor, but we don't have any. So I'm going to do free promotion for something I love. This is for Libib. If you're like me, you need all of your possessions to be neatly cataloged. It's a blessing and a curse. Libib is an app that makes it easy to track all of your books and movies and other media. You can add items by scanning the barcode and organize them into separate libraries. And you can even create a public link and custom tags and add reading statuses with start dates and everything. So it makes me very happy. There's a mobile app and also just a website you can use, and it's all free. Yeah, so Libib, I love it. Let's start round two. This song is Stop It by Pylon. It was on Athens, Georgia Inside Out soundtrack, released on Capitol Records in 1987. Adria, tell us about this.
So this song is a song that was really released back in the early 80s. And Pylon is one of the big three bands to come out of Athens back in that time with REM and the B-52s as the others. This song was one of the first, like, I grew up in a very religious household and we weren't allowed to listen to weird music. And so it wasn't until I became a little older and got out on my own that I started kind of exploring what was already all happening all around me, unbeknownst to me. And Pylon were one of my first bands that I kind of latched onto. I was lucky to see them perform back in the late 1980s, and they were the first band that got me dancing. I was so afraid of my own skin that I could not dance when I went out to see shows and stuff. But like, I just started dancing at their show. Vanessa is such an amazing woman. She's a vocalist of this band Pylon. And this song is it's almost like, I don't know, it's like an anthem for me of like my childhood growing up and being told not to listen to like punk rock, not be listening to weird music or whatever, and then like, no, fuck you, I'm gonna listen to it anyway. It has a really strong energy.
Nice. That's like the classic rebellion. Yeah, I
I used
haven't.
to also listen to this kind of music when I was a teenager, and my parents were really not into it. They were like, she's lost her mind.
I'm not familiar with Pylon, but this is like I love this sound. It's right in my core genre.
It wants to be punk, it wants to be post-punk. It's not really
Yeah,
sure what it is, but like it's very unique.
yeah.
Their guitar player Randy Bewley, I apparently really didn't know how to play guitar when he first started, and just randomly just got strings and tuned them to what he thought sounded good. And that's why these chords sound so alien to us now. Like, the tunings are really strange versus like if you play guitar, standard E tuning is what we used most of us write in today. Kind of the charm of the band, I think.
Yeah. I love that.
I like it. The guitar sounds really funky. I like it.
It's like celebrates the idea that anybody can do music. You don't have to go to music school. You don't have to have permission from anyone. Like, you can go and create and be awesome. Like,
yes,
so.
Absolutely. All right. Next up is Unity by Queen Latifah. It was released on Black Rain on Motown Records in 1993. Raja, tell us about it.
Yeah. This song for me represents growing up as like a tomboy. A lot of people called me a tomboy. I didn't feel like a tomboy. I was just doing me. I was a girl who played touch football because I only had brothers, and there were only boys in my neighborhood. So it's like, what else am I gonna do? But I think being like tough as a girl or femme, I don't think that you should be limited to, like you said earlier, how you express yourself. But UNITY specifically, Queen Latifah talking about somebody calling her a bitch for essentially standing up for herself or not taking disrespect, definitely brought me to a time where I first was called a bitch at 10 years old. I was getting catcalled walking in my neighborhood. And I didn't know how to respond, so I just like kept walking to a grown man trying to catcall me, and I was just like, I'm gonna keep walking. But I think that day I was in myself deciding I would never let anybody disrespect me just for being myself, whether that was me, playing and getting dirty, being a bitch, being bossy, and even though I'm like quiet, I still don't tolerate disrespect, and I don't allow other people to be disrespected. So this song represents that for me, just like standing up for yourself, no matter what the situation is. And you don't have to let anybody call you something you don't want to be called. Definitely correct people, whether it's your name, getting your name right, because a lot of people struggle saying my name. Let them know, like, yeah, and it's okay to do that. It doesn't make you a bitch just because you're correcting somebody on how they treat you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a tomboy as a kid too. And I think that term is weird. Like, if you're too masculine as a child, you aren't even called a girl anymore. Like, it's strange.
Exactly. Like, it's okay to be strong. It's okay not to be strong. However I present is just that.
And it's okay, honestly. Like, if you're a girl growing up, like a femme, like it's okay to go out and throw football with your friends, like, and like have fun with that. Like, I love stories of like hearing of like women who like go on to college football and start playing college football as like a kicker or punter or whatever. I fucking love that. There's something about that feels so empowering and like just, again, like, I'm gonna do what I want, not what you expect me to do.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And really, if you dig into it, the reason we have separate genders for a lot of sports is because the men got mad that the women were competing. Like, it's kind of hilarious in some ways.
It's just, that's the reason why women aren't in politics too, right?
Right.
Because we were too good at governing peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
what do you mean we can't throw bombs?
All right, this next track is Mujer contra Mujer by Mecano. Was released on Descanso Dominical, Un Femme avec un Femme on BMG in 1987. Carla, tell us about this one.
Yeah, so this song it kind of became like lesbian ode back in the 1980s when like late 80s when it came out. Um, so homosexuality was banned in Spain up until 1979. It was actually like considered a crime and a mental illness. So this was really one of the first songs in, like, I think probably the first song in Spain to come out and like speak about lesbianism, because even up to that point, we have the AIDS epidemic that's happening where a lot of lesbians, a lot of trans women are taking care of gay men that are infected in the United States. But I mean, in Europe, it's also happening, but it's almost taboo to be a lesbian still. It's almost accepted to be gay, but you can't be trans, you can't be a lesbian. So this song became like an anthem for that back then. And so it's like a perspective of what's wrong with like two women loving each other, and it's a very empowering song. It's also a very emotional song of how people who are in this relationship, so it's talking about two women who are together, and like one of them doesn't want to be seen in public because they're afraid, and the other one's like, who cares what everybody else thinks about what we're doing, like we're not doing anything wrong. And the fact that it came out in 1988 and they didn't get canceled was huge. So yeah, and then Un Femme avec Femme is kind of like the French version that came out at the same time. So it was, yeah.
Nice. This sounds very like 80s ballad to me.
Yeah. Mecano is an interesting band because they have a lot of like folkloric songs, and they have like very like disco-y upbeat songs, but they're sort of one of those bands that's like very iconic to a place. So I think it's like a very Spanish band, breaking away from what people think Spanish music is. Spanish music from Spain, right? Not Latin American music, but Spanish music from Spain. When people think Spanish music, they often think like flamenco, and flamenco is just one genre, and it's actually like a cultural thing. It's not so much, not the entire country doesn't dance or sing flamenco. It's the flamencos that do that. So listening to this kind of music I remember growing up with this kind of, my mom was a really big fan and my aunts. But this song, I didn't really know what it was about ever until like maybe like 2 years ago that I was like listening to this album, and I was like, oh my God, this song is about lesbians. Right? Because I thought like I was like, oh, what's that song about? And she's like, oh, it's about two friends, like two best friends. And I was like, two best friends holding hands. Okay. But I never like thought about it. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I cry sometimes listening to it because like the lyrics really are very beautiful. Yeah. I got you today with the Spanish music, Heather.
Yeah, I love it. All right, this next song coming up is Seashore by The Regrets. It was released on Feel Your Feelings Fool on Warner Records in 2017. So this band I love. They actually broke up last year. But the lead singer, so her name is Lydia. She grew up in California, and like her dad produced music videos. So she grew up in the industry, and I feel like you really see that in her music. Like it reflects like her knowledge of all of this music. And I'm really jealous of that. I feel like a lot of the music that I found as an adult, like she just knew as a teenager. But I really like this song because it kind of explores that kind of space of being a teenager who's becoming a woman and like facing all of this kind of, comments like, this line here, like you're talking to me like I'm done, but I have a lot to say, and like talking to me like I'm a child, but I know a lot. There are a lot of words like that, and so, oh yeah, I'll still kick your ass even in my skirt. That's one of my favorite lines. And a lot of their music has like that kind of punk theme in it. I really like it.
I'm really digging this cover art too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I kind of want my birthday cake to look like this.
I want a big birthday cake. A 5 foot tall one.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Do you want someone to pop out of it?
Yes, I'll the whole band to pop out of it.
Excellent.
And play the song.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
So the first band that the lead singer was in was, I'm going to completely forget the name. It was her and another girl, and they were like 12, and they played with, I should have written notes on this. The guy who played Ken in the Barbie movie, what's that actor's name?
Oh.
Ryan
Gosling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a band.
I was going to say Eva Mendes' husband.
Oh, okay. Was it like one of the music festivals that's big? Like he actually like pulled them on stage and like they played together and they've been friends. And then, the regrets came after this, but like she's in the industry, and been around. But she's also very good, so it's not just nepotism. All right, that is the end of that song. Let's do a quick note about production. Discourse is produced in partnership with Hey Awesome Girl, a full-service marketing and creative studio on a mission to help female entrepreneurs build and grow companies that empower their lives. Become a part of their awesome community by visiting heyawesomegirl.com/grow. All right, we're going to get into round 3.
Can I get a quick promo in too?
Sure.
So I would like to encourage folks to consider going to belovedasheville.com. There's a donate link there. Obviously, the folks there have just experienced some catastrophe, and there's still a lot of folks in need who are struggling with food and just basic housing right now. So any little bit of donation you could pass their way would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. That's a great one. Thank you. Okay. Here's round 3. This is We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's. It was released on Beauty and the Beast on Capitol Records in 1981. Adria, tell us about it.
This was my one of my very first 7-inches I bought as a kid, and I was such a huge fan of the Go-Go's. In a lot of different ways. I loved the kind of punk pop vibe they had going on back then. And also, it was around this time that I started realizing that, not only did I like listening to the Go-Go's, I kind of wanted to be the Go-Go's. And it's kind of, there's some awakening of some gender stuff going on at that time. One of my childhood friends played bass guitar, and we got into arguments about this. He's like, no, they don't play their instruments. Like, they have men play them. And to this day, I'm still booty bothered about that. I'm like, this just really pisses me off that someone would think that women are not capable enough to go out and write these songs. In fact, Kathy Valentine was an amazing musician. They had some songs they wrote back when they were still in their punk days in Los Angeles before this record came out. One was called Fun with Ropes. And that song is an amazing song that uses every chromatic chord in the scale, all 12 notes of them, and you wouldn't know it listening to it. It's not chaos. It's an amazingly written song, and it's about bondage. The lyrics are, but like, just an amazing group of people, musicians, and yeah, for sure. I've loved the Go-Go's since I was a kid. And I like to joke and say that the Go-Go's made me trans.
Nice. Yeah, they are. It's hard to not like the Go-Go's, and that is like, I'm infuriated. I hadn't heard that before. The saying they didn't play their own music.
Yeah.
I have secondhand infuriation.
Yeah. I love this song. I've always I think it's on like my gym playlist.
All right, next song coming up is Venom by Little Sims. It was released on Gray Area on Age 101 Music with AWOL Records in 2019. Raja, tell us about it.
Little Sims comes in hot, and I was trying to figure out where to come in. I watching the song. It's coming in so hot, and my favorite bar from this song is "Never giving credit where it's due." That part, and just thinking about all throughout history, hidden figures, and I learned that when women are purposefully kept out of history books, especially like in STEM and science, and especially the impact and their contributions and the contributions of people identified as they, them, and she, her, just have been hidden. That's called the Matilda effect. So similar to the Mandela effect, but Matilda is more like specific and direct of erasure, and all the prosperity and things that we have and celebrate, just thinking about how much has been lost in history because of that bias. And then you think about the intersection of different people's identities, from their sexual orientation, even race, or their ability, how people have made so much change, and we just don't give people credit because they don't have, a certain identity. That's what this all made me think of. And how we're still learning just about like bodies, people's, relationship with their bodies, and science and how we treat people. And so it's just like all the things we could grow from as a society if we just didn't have these biases.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like such a loss in a lot of ways, like to not recognize all of these contributions, and even sometimes like lose oh, okay, never mind. Let's move on.
Okay.
This next song is Shakira, BZRP Sessions, Volume 53. It's by Shakira and
Bizarrap.
It was a single on Dale Play Records from 2023.
Do you mind if I just step in for a quick second, going back to the last song and the idea we were just talking about, if it's okay?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I just feel like just to add on to what was already said, like it upsets me that like when you have like women discussing, for instance, politics, and you have a man discussing politics, like 9 times out of 10, the man's words are going to be weighted so heavily against the woman. Like, we're just dismissed because we don't really know what's going on. Because we don't really know. We're somehow deficient. And it just, that idea just kills me. and it happens today. It's not something that like is a relic of like I remember back in the 80s or whatever. It's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So please listen to us. We have things to say.
Right? We have a lot to say.
Exactly.
I'm
A
sorry to
lot
interrupt
to
the train of
say.
thought.
Oh,
Please
no, you're good. Well, Carla, do you want to go ahead and talk about it?
Sure. Okay, so the sessions. So this song has 14 record Guinness awards because Shakira literally broke the bank with
Wow.
it. This comes up with a series. So, like, I don't know if y'all were aware, but Shakira was in a relationship with a soccer player who's 10 years younger than she is, from Spain. She lived in Barcelona. They were together for many years, and then he cheated on her famously. And then they split up. So, like, her previous songs about the breakup that had come out and also did very well were very, like, they were nice or whatever. But this song just like annihilated him. I mean, like annihilated him. Because his new girlfriend Clara Chia is 22. Well, at the time was 22, and also because like a lot of people came out and criticized Shakira for this particular song because they were like, oh, like she could have gone out the big door and like, been the bigger person. Because she really like tears them a new one in this song. She's like, um, like one of the, in one song, she's like, yo valgo por dos de 22, like I'm worth two 22-year-olds, and like cambiaste un Ferrari por un Twingo, like you changed a Ferrari for a Twingo, which a Twingo is like a brand of car in Europe. And then she also has this line that says like mucho gimnasio pero utiliza el cerebro también, which is like, yeah, you go to the gym a lot, but like use your brain a little more. Yeah, like the song is great. But also, like, Bizarrap he's an Argentinian sort of like musician who does these sessions, and he was very popular already, but this just like skyrocketed him to like global stardom. And she did this collab with him because her oldest son was like, Mom, you need to like get with this guy. And of course, like Shakira hits you up and like you say, you don't say no. And then, yeah,
Right.
14 record Guinness. Like the song had, I don't know how many billion plays in like 2 days. And at the time, Shakira was also going through a lot. It was just a bad time for Shakira. But she was going through a lot of issues with like the Spanish IRS, where they were saying that like she needed to pay. And she was like, I already paid. Well, so she shows up in like a pink suit after, she did the song, which made her a bajillion dollars. And she shows up and she's like, how much is it that I have to pay? And they're like 8 million, I don't know, something like that. And she's like, writes a check and like walks out. And I was like, damn. Oh, and then this line is very famous. So she was like, like, te creíste que me heriste y me pusiste más dura, las mujeres ya no lloran, las mujeres facturan, which is like, you thought you broke me, but you made me stronger. Women don't cry, they like cash out, like they make money out of my grandma actually has a t-shirt that has that like written
nice.
out. Yeah. So it's a very empowering song. Yeah.
I feel like you're just like schooling us today, Carla. You're giving us all of this contextual information. It's fantastic.
Thanks. I mean, since you can't understand it, right? I sort of have to jump in. But I mean, this was like rich like gossip on the tabloids and like just all over. And it was nice to see because like Shakira started out with like this like rock era mix of music, like she was very goth at the beginning of her career, which was like also strange in a Latin American context for an artist, like a Colombian artist, to come out like this. But like really, she's very good at just trying new things, and also she's very good at reinventing herself and staying relevant, So a lot of people were like, oh, we want the Shakira from the 90s. And she's like, yeah, well, I've also changed as a person. Like, I want to try new things. I want to try and, evolving with my music as well. So, she's going at like a 30-year career and has all kinds of music.
Yeah, that is really impressive. All right, our last song today is Hit Like a Girl by Meet Me at the Altar. It was released as a single on Fueled by Ramen in 2021. So this thing, overall as a concept, I just love this song because Hit Like a Girl is supposed to be an insult, but it really shouldn't be. It's like the whole, there's, I guess, basically a meme going around social media. It's like, would you be insulted if a female shark ate you? Like, oh my God, I can't believe, got eaten by a female shark, not a male shark. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Or like, that takes balls. And I'm
Right.
like, I don't know how many men would do well with a period.
Right? That's a very good example.
Exactly, yeah.
I love watching the simulators with the, like, men, like, immediately melting down, like, yeah, every month.
Yeah. Did you see there's like, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, go ahead.
But just like on that thread, there is a conspiracy theory going around that women pretend to have periods, like, and collectively we don't have them. We just, like, we made it up.
Wow.
To not work.
What the?
I wouldn't know.
Doesn't even get me out of work,
like,
really.
This is like, why does this happen? Why first of all, we're controlling hurricanes and women don't have period.
Yeah.
Like, what the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if I would have been in on the conspiracy theory, I would have like bowed out a while ago for these cramps.
Right?
All the money I've spent on period like utensils. Yeah. Who knew?
The pink tax. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand conspiracies of that level. Like, just think about how much coordination would be required to keep this lie going. Like,
at a global level, across different cultures.
Like, it takes one person to be like, oh no, man, I can't do this anymore. Like,
yeah.
So ridiculous.
Yeah. There was also like, I was talking to my grandma about this yesterday because she's very progressive for being a woman born in the 40s. But she was like, if I would have been born on this time, I would have never married. She's like, because like men of my time, things like women are servants, and I'm not anybody's servant, because she's like folding my grandpa's laundry or something. She was just not into it. Yeah.
I mean, I can't argue with her.
I actually, talking about hitting like a girl, when I was in elementary school, I got suspended from school because I was being bullied by this guy. And he was like, the bullying was like constant, like every day, like he would like pull my, like subtle things, like pulling my hair and like calling me names and things like that. And then one day I turned around and I just backhanded him. And he lost a tooth. I mean, this is elementary school, so like his tooth was already loose. So I finished it off. It's not like, they had to give him like an implant, but he already had it loose, and I just kind of like helped it come out. And I was suspended, and like they called my mom in, and they were like, she did this, blah, blah. And they're like, did anybody ask her, why she reacted in that way, and like how long these other aggressions were happening? But yeah, he lost a tooth, so joke's on him.
Well, that is an excellent way to wrap up. Carla, you win this week. Like, that story and all of the information you gave us, you're totally the winner.
Yes.
Thank you, Adria, so much for joining us. Where can people find you online?
At Tears for the Dying Band on Instagram, on Spotify, and I think we have Facebook and TikTok as well. So,
excellent. We'll be back with another episode every week, so be sure to hit subscribe. You can follow us everywhere at Discourse Podcast. That's Discourse with 2 C's. And of course, we have the playlist with all the songs and episode on Spotify and Tidal. You've been a wonderful audience. Good night.